This lesson is all about verb tenses. We're going to talk about the usage and give lots of examples, and we'll talk about the adverbs and the time phrases that help us to know exactly how and when to use the different verb tenses, as well as how to construct the verb tenses. So I hope you'll stay tuned to the end and enjoy all the verb tenses. I'll see you in the lesson. All right, let's go on to past simple. Past simple describes completed actions in the past. Now, this is another simple tense. What do you think the auxiliary is going to be? For all of our simple tenses, the auxiliary will be, duh. Write it down, and when we get there in the lesson, you can check to see if you were right. Some words that we use that work with the simple past is yesterday, last day, or last Sunday, last week, last December, last year. Ago. Ago always goes at the end of the sentence. She left the company a year ago. In 1945. The war ended in 1945. Notice again, anytime we have a time phrase, it's at the end of the sentence. Okay? Once. He visited Paris once. Twice. They called twice yesterday. Ah. They called twice yesterday, but he visited Paris once. This twice is not at the end because we have a true time phrase in yesterday. But here there's no true time phrase, so once goes at the end. Before. So she had never been to Asia before. This is actually not a present simple or a past simple. This is a past perfect sentence. And we'll get that into that more in the we'll get more into that, but I'll give you a different example. Instead of she had never been to Asia before, you can say she went to Asia before she went to Guam. Or she went to the Eiffel Tower before dinner. Okay? Afterwards. We went for dinner afterwards. Previously. You pronounce this previously. And it means that you did something before now. They had discussed the matter previously. And suddenly. Suddenly is a surprise. If something happens suddenly, it happens and you did not expect it. The lights went out suddenly. The lights are out. Okay? We also use phrases like in the past, during, when I was. When I was a teenager, I went to Washington, D.C. At that time, or in 2001. The company was founded in 2001. Back in the day, things were different. In the old days, technology was limited. As a child, he played the piano as a child. And in my youth, I traveled a lot. In those years, he was a professor. Now, I want you to notice these. In the past, when it is at the beginning of a sentence, gets a comma. At that time, same thing. You can put them at the beginning of the sentence in most cases, but then you need to follow it with a comma. If you put it at the end of the sentence, there's no comma. The company was founded in 2001. No comma. Okay? He was a professor in those years. No comma. But if it's at the beginning of the sentence, you want to put a comma. All right. How is it created? Now, remember that I said it's a simple sentence. And when it's a simple tense, we need to have an auxiliary. We use did. Did is the past tense of do. So if you wrote did or do down when I told you to write something down, then you got it right. Here they are. Our past tense auxiliary verbs. Okay, so let's come over here and we'll come back to the auxiliary verbs in just a minute, but let's come and look at the affirmative statement. Notice again, there's only one verb. One verb means it's simple, and that one verb is in the past. Okay? Here it is in the past. The reason I chose the verb walk for this example is because I wanted to show a regular verb. Now, the past tense is where most of our verbs show their irregularities. If a verb is irregular, then it's going to look completely different in the simple past tense. Now, I'm going to give you a tip about regular and irregular verbs. One of them is a history tip. I want you to think about the more common verbs that are used in lots of languages, okay? And I want you to think about what might be our oldest verbs. When humanity developed, we needed to express ourselves, but it was limited. So think about what someone who was living millions of years in the past would need to say. Those verbs that person in the past would need to say will probably be irregular. For example, I am Zadie. I am Zadie. Am is a very irregular verb, and it is irregular in every language. It's an irregular verb. It is probably our oldest verb. But there are many other verbs that are also irregular. Verbs like go, come, going and coming are irregular because those are very old ideas too. Okay? The word walk is regular, and it's probably regular because the first word that they used was go. And they could just use go to mean it until they had different modes of transportation. And then they started to branch out in all of the go words. Okay, so I know that slow this video down so that and play the subtitles if you're having a difficult time understanding what I'm saying. So that's one tip. If the idea is very old and very common, it's going to be irregular because language developed before grammar got programmed into our minds. Once we had so many words, then we had to categorize them, and that's how grammar develops. But first, we use the language. So that's one. If it's an old concept, it's probably an irregular verb. Second, number two, If it is irregular in your language, it is probably, not 100%, but it is probably irregular in English. I'll say that one more time because I hope this will help you know when to look and say, oh, I need to think this verb is probably irregular. If it is irregular in your native language, it is probably irregular in English too. Okay? That's not 100%, but it's an observation that I've made after learning other languages and talking to people who speak many, many different languages. All right? So walk is a regular verb, and that's why I chose this one. Okay? Now, how do we create it? Remember that in order to make a negative or a question, we need two verbs, but we only have one verb in the present or in the simple tenses. So we need to have did. Notice that did shows the past and walk is now the base verb. This is the base verb. We don't say I did walked. That's a B. I'm sorry. That looks more like a B now. Okay, we use did for the past, and then we use walk as the base. And again, the not goes between the two verbs. So we have subject, verb, negative verb, complement. Okay? When we make a contraction with did, it's didn't. Okay? I didn't. You didn't. She didn't walk to the store. And finally, we have the question. And with a question, we need the verb at the front. So we use the auxiliary at the front. We still need the subject, verb, complement pattern because English syntax is very strict. You don't get to play with syntax very much in English. All right, so we have the did she walk to the store? And remember, it's a yes-no question. The answer is yes-no, so the intonation goes up. Did she walk to the store? I'm going to give you one more tip, and this is kind of an exciting one too, and it is that if you don't understand anything the person said, but their intonation went up, then you can answer yes or no. You have a 50% chance of getting it right. Did she go to the store? Da 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 da. Yes, she did. The answer is yes, she did, or no, she didn't. Because the answer to all of the questions holds the auxiliary verb, not the base verb. Okay? Yes, she did. No, she didn't. And we want commas after these. All right? Did she walk to the store? No, she didn't. If the intonation goes up, your only answers are yes or no. Okay? Kind of a cool little tip. I hope that helps. That is it for this verb tense. I hope that you really enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And go to my website at thezarden.com. Take a look at the link right here and learn about what other offerings my company has to offer. We're just getting started right now, but I am putting students on a wait list for conversations. Our conversations give you the materials, some phrases to use and a topic to study. And then you come together with other people from around the world and a native speaking facilitator to lead the discussion. The discussions are 1 hour long, and when you sign up, they will be weekly, 1 hour long conversations with materials to help you improve your conversation. So go to my website and sign up. If you're not sure you want to sign up, you can do a free trial for one class. You can also just sign up for our newsletter so that you get information. Eventually, I plan to have a whole English curriculum and to be able to work with my students, both with what I've put on the videos, but also to work some of the other videos show you what it's like to work with how I work with students. So if you want to be one of my students, you can sign up with me. And so a lot is going on. So remember to like and subscribe and go to my website. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.